Hey guys, welcome to Dragon's Forge. Today's video is going to be covering week 7 of the spoilers for A Brush with the Legends. Starting off on Monday, June 14th, we start off with gluttonic monster malnorm. With the ability of active on the rearguard circle, once per turn, you can discard a set order card from your hand and countercharge 1. So Brontgate gets yet another countercharger for their decks, and this one specifically really works well with Orphist, to allow you to discard your extra set order cards that no longer are needed as you progress through the game. You will move from being in Dark Knight to Abyssal Dark Knight. Once you are in Abyssal Dark Knight, you need your set order cards far less, therefore it's great to have a way to make usage of them with Gluttonic Monster Malnorm. Next up, we have the new Blitz order card, Explode Melting Heart. With the cost of 1 Soul Blast, you get to choose one of your opponent's attacking units, and it gets power negative 5,000 until the end of the turn for each of your opponent's cards imprisoned in your prison. I believe this is an excellent blitz order for the prison deck, and I believe it will work extremely well against those decks with the multi-attack, whether it be Bastion, Dragonic Overlord, or Bruce. Moving on to Tuesday, June 15th, we have Beauty Pulling the Sleeve. With the ability of when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, you may put all cards from your bind zone into the drop. If you do, this unit gets power plus 5,000 until the end of the turn for each card put into the drop. Initially, I slept on this card, but after additional review, I found that this card really does change the Zorga deck in a lot of beneficial ways. If you've been like me, having issues finding room for every one of those order cards that you really want to use, this card is your answer. Beauty Pulling the Sleeve allows us to run fewer copies of the different orders that we want to run, allowing overall much more room in the deck, and then additional opportunities to do additional alchemagic turns, and as well she is an excellent attacker or even booster. Next up, we have Nectar of Sensations, which is a new normal order card with the ability of choose one of your rear guards. Until the end of the turn, it gets power plus 5,000 for every 5 cards in your drop, and if your drop has 15 or more cards, it gets critical plus 1. Nectar of Sensations has the ability to give one of your rear guards an insane amount of additional power, and as well that extra critical just provides so much extra pressure. This one's almost too good not to use. Moving on to the Tuesday live stream, we start off with Armored Dragon Mount Cannon. With the ability of auto on the front row rearguard circle, when your grade 0 unit attacks, this unit and the unit that attacked get power plus 5,000 until the end of the turn. Mount Cannon shows us a new way to build the Nirvana deck that's contrary to everything that we've seen before, but will only really make a whole lot of sense as we move forward. But even with those additional cards that have been spoiled after this one, Mount Cannon will not see any play. Next up, we have blazefist Monk Domini. With the ability of auto on the rearguard circle at the end of the battle that this unit attacked, you can counterblast 1 and soul blast 1 to choose one of your opponent's front row rearguards and retire it. And if your Vanguard is Chakrabarthi Divine Dragon Nirvana, choose up to 1 grade 0 card from your drop and call it to rearguard circle. I admittedly slept on this card as well, but after additional review, this card is definitely worth running, specifically because of the next card that we'll be discussing. This card will actually give the Nirvana deck a potential of 7 attacks. However, on a more normal turn, we're looking at about 5 attacks. Next up, we have Verena Elgar. Verena Elgar can overdress over Trickstar. Then he has the ability of auto from the hand. At the end of the battle, your Trickstar attacked a Vanguard. If your Vanguard is Chakrabarthi Divine Dragon Nirvana, you can Soul Blast 2 to overdress this card on your Trickstar on a rearguard circle as stand and countercharge 1. Then as well, continuous on the rearguard circle and guardian circle. If this unit is in the overdress state, this unit gets power plus 10,000 and shield plus 10,000, and this is active on your opponent's turn too. Verena Elgar is the tie back to all these other abilities that we've been seeing that interact with a grade 0, and with Domini, it makes a whole lot more sense. Those turns that I was mentioning before where we could attack to 5 to 7 times, they involve Trickstar, Domini, and Verena Elgar, and a whole lot of soul. So the way that this works is you actually have Domini attack first. You use his ability, you call a Trickstar over him. You then attack with your Trickstar with a booster, ideally, so that he hits at least 13k. You then can overdress into Verena Elgar during the battle phase. And on the more normal turn, that is where you would attack with your Nirvana, giving the Verena Elgar a boost, and then have your last 2 overdress attacks at that point. Now, if you happen to have enough soul and 2 Domini on the field, you can make these attacks be a total of 7. Verena Elgar is also incredibly important to the Nirvana deck because it is our first countercharger. The very interesting thing about Verena Elgar is it's taken us away from being concerned about our counterblast to such a level that it was at, to the point that we now really care about our soul. So with Verena Elgar, I highly recommend any of those other Dragon Empire players to really consider Togachirashi or Mirin in their decks. Moving on to June 16th, we have Darkness Maiden Matcha. When this unit is placed on rearguard circle, if you have a Vanguard with Blaster in its card name, this unit gets power plus 5,000 until the end of the turn. Then you can Soul Blast 1 and retire another rearguard to look at 5 cards from the top of your deck and choose up to 1 grade 1 or less unit card from among them and call it to rearguard circle and shuffle your deck. As for Matcha's first ability, she's a good attacker that's able to hit both at the grade 2 or the grade 3 level. At grade 2, she's hitting magic numbers, whereas grade 3, she's not quite there, but she is at least hitting. Then as for the other ability, it's another retire ability, which does give some payoffs for the Shadow Paladin deck, and then as well, it allows you to pull out an additional card by replacing the retired card. The ideal target is our next card that we'll be discussing. Before we do move on to the next card though, if you are liking what we are doing and enjoying the videos, please do like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help out the channel a lot. Next up, we have Black Sage Charon with auto. When this unit is placed on rearguard circle, if you have a Vanguard with Blaster in its card name, you can rest this unit to look at the top card of your deck, and you may call to rearguard circle if it is a unit card. At the end of that turn, retire that called unit and put it on top of the deck if you did not call. Now Charon on its own is a great card, being able to turn after turn rest it to bring out another card as fodder, or you can also use it in combination with Matcha before, where you use her ability to call out from the deck, and if you hit Charon at that point, you can pull out Charon, rest him, and then get another rear guard, and now you're set up for that big Phantom Blaster Dragon turn. Moving on to Thursday, June 17th, we have Wild Master Darius with the ability of auto on the rearguard circle when this unit attacks. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you can counterblast 1 and soul charge 1, and this unit gets power plus 5,000 until the end of that battle. If you have 3 or more other rearguards, it gets power plus 10,000 instead of 5,000. Now for the current Dark State decks, I don't think there's enough room for Darius to get in there, but I do think that this is likely early support for the Greedon deck that was also spoiled during the live stream. Next up, we have Surveillance Gear Dober with the ability of auto on the rearguard circle at the end of the battle that this unit boosted. If you are in final rush, you can put it into the soul and choose one of your units, and it gets power plus 10,000 until the end of the turn. Surveillance Gear Dober is going to immediately be compared with Jared in the Bruce deck, and overall I believe Surveillance Gear Dober is the better of the two without really any actual cost to it. But at the same time, I think you could definitely get away with running both. But if I did have to pick one or the other, I would definitely pick Surveillance Gear Dober. Next up, we have Crimson Expeller with the ability of auto on the rearguard circle. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, Soul Charge 1. Then as well, we have an ability that you can activate from Soul, which costs Counterblast 1, and you put this card into the drop, and then you Soul Charge 1. Then you get to choose one of your Vanguards, and it gets power plus 10k until the end of the turn. Crimson Expeller is the type of card that you want in just about any Dark States deck if you have the room. For either Bruce or Barrow Magnus, if you can find the space for him to go in, I do think you're going to want to run him, but I do think more specifically he's meant to be additional Greedon support, but we'll have to see what happens there when Greedon is spoiled. To close out the week of spoilers, we have Friday, June 18th, starting off with Dragon Monk Gojo. With the ability of auto on the rearguard circle, when the attack this unit boosted a Vanguard hits, you can retire this unit and countercharge 1. This is the second countercharger that's been given to Dragon Empire, but this one's been very specifically designed to restrict the usage of it. The requirement to boost a Vanguard and hit makes this very tricky to make usage of outside of the Dragonic Overlord deck. Dragonic Overlord's able to guarantee at least one of those hits, but in Nirvana and in Eugene, this is not the case. Yet alone in either one of those decks, the space is so tight right now that it is unlikely that Gojo will make its way in. But at the same time, if we get an additional ride line in the future, Gojo could make an excellent card for that deck as well. Next up, we have Berserk Dragon with auto on the rearguard circle. When this unit attacks, if you have a Vanguard with Overlord in its card name, this unit gets power plus 5,000 until the end of that battle. Then you can counterblast 1 to choose one of your opponent's grade 2 or less rearguards and retire it. So on those big Dragonic Overlord turns, you're going to be either wiping out the entire entire front row very easily between Berserk Dragon and Dragonic Overlord, or you can start picking off those rear guards that are in the back row. As well, the additional 5,000 power allows for even better attack columns by being able to hit those grade 3s very easily. Next week, we should get the remainder of the second set, which will allow us all to start building our new versions of our decks. And with that, our next video will be our Nirvana deck. But until then, have a great day.